The first question we have is, what do you remember of how your family got here to the States?
Okay, my dad lived on a farm in Lithuania, and he got tired of working on the farm all the time. So his mother loved fish, so she allowed him to go fishing instead of doing farm work because she liked fish so much.
Yeah.
And my dad landed in Canada, and he worked his way down lumberjacking.
To Michigan?
I don't know if that's the right word.
That's fine.
Anyway, he was a lumberjack.
Yeah.
And he worked his way down to Michigan. And he was sitting on a log sometime, and he looked behind him, and there was a moose. There was a moose sitting behind him.
Yeah.
And my dad got up and ran.
Well, yeah. My goodness.
And he was a young man when all this happened.
Yeah.
And let's see, he worked his way down to Canada. Oh, no, he landed in Canada, and he worked his way down as a lumberjack.
Yeah.
I said that. Okay. He came to, he worked his way on a ship to Michigan, and that's where he stayed.
Yeah.
So I don't know much more about my dad.
Yeah.
But my mother and her family landed on Ellis Island.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah. And I think that's something to
Yeah.
remember,
Thank you.
that they landed on Ellis Island.
Yeah, we learned about that in history.
And anyway, before that, there was supposed to be rumors of wars in Europe. And so my mother and my Aunt Rose I think they took a horse and buggy over to, now they were from Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it was Czechoslovakia. My uncle Steve and my mother walked to wherever they were going to catch a carriage or whatever you want to call it to London, which was quite a ride. And let me think here. Oh, and my uncle Steve said my mother was yakking away, talking away. And they were at night, and Uncle Steve said, "Don't talk so loud." He says, "Your voice will carry at night." And he says, "Police will come." So my mother shut up.
Yeah.
And let me think here. Oh, when they got to London, now I don't know if, I really don't know if they got to London or not, because that would have been far away.
Yeah.
I don't know where they went to get a ship to the United States.
And then when they got on the ship, though, didn't they stop at where the Titanic sank?
Hmm?
Didn't they stop at where the Titanic sank?
I don't know. Anyway, they caught it. They were looking at this ship, and the ship listed to one side. And my grandma said, that ship will never make it to the United States. And to get ahead of myself, the ship did sink the next year.
It did.
But they went over the spot where, what was the name of that ship?
Titanic?
What?
The Titanic?
Titanic.
Yeah.
Went down, and when they went over that spot, the ship's captain stopped the ship, and they all prayed over that spot. Then they went on to Ellis Island, and they were not going to let my mother's family in the United States because my aunt had a curvature of the spine, and this doctor said she cannot support herself. He says, we're going to have to reject you. And a nurse came up, and she said, my sister has a curvature of the spine, and she said she can support herself by doing cleaning of houses and so forth. And so that nurse talked the doctor into letting them into the United States. Otherwise, if it wouldn't have been for that nurse having a curvature of the spine for a sister for a curvature of the spine, whatever, they wouldn't have gotten into the United States.
They wanted like you
Now let me think here.
help build the
When everyone left
Yeah. And
Ellis Island for different destinations, there was, I hate to say this, but there was a big black man came in through the doors, and he was huge, my mother said. And he sat down next to them because he knew that the immigrants would have money to get into the United States. They had to have money. And they were afraid.
Yeah.
And just then a great big policeman came in. He also was black. And he walked up to that man, and that man ran out the door.
Yeah.
And the policeman didn't even give him a chance to talk to him.
Yeah.
And anyway, they went to Iowa. And in Iowa, my mother walked into a cornfield. I'm just telling you different things that happened here. She walked into a cornfield and got lost because the corn was so tall.
Yeah.
And she started yelling, and Grandpa came and he saved her.
Oh,
Took
he
her in
did?
his arms and carried her out of the cornfield. Then my grandma, she liked just soups. So she liked soups with potatoes in them. And she said the potatoes were no good in Iowa. So that's why they moved to Michigan. And I think that's about all I can remember.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me think.
Because we have a bunch, so we can come back if you remember
What,
anything.
honey?
We have a bunch of questions, so we can come back
Okay.
if you remember anything else.
Okay.
Another question is, well, you were born on Gold Street, right?
Yes.
Were you born in the house or in a hospital?
In the house.
You were?
On Gold. 218 Gold.
And then, what's your earliest memory of like that house?
Of the who?
Of the house. Like, what's the earliest thing that you remember?
Okay, my mother had a piano, old-fashioned piano like this, and it had posts like this.
Mhm.
And the only thing I can remember being there is I stuck my head on the post and couldn't get out. So my mother took me and twisted and twisted and twisted until she got me out of that. So that's the first memory I have of that house. Getting
Another
caught in the piano.
another question I have is, do you know if you were named after anyone?
Do I know who I was named after?
Yeah, were you named after anyone?
Yes. My Aunt Rose and my Grandma Mary,
Oh, that's cool.
Rosemary.
Yeah.
Because my mother didn't have a name picked out for me.
She didn't?
Nope. But she decided on Rosemary,
Yeah.
which I was kind of proud.
Yeah. Did you have to share rooms in your house?
What?
Did you share rooms with your siblings?
Did I
Like-
share?
Like share a room?
No,
A bedroom?
there was two stories.
Uh-huh.
So we lived in the first story, and my grandma and Rosie, my Aunt Rose, lived upstairs from us. There was a two-story house.
And then like in your bedrooms, did you share rooms with your sisters or your siblings?
I can't hear out of this one ear.
Like in your bedroom, like where you slept or whatever, did
Yeah.
you share a room with anybody?
Yeah, I shared a room with my sister Millie
You did?
and my mother and Virginia. And the boys slept in the front bedroom. We were in the back bedroom.
Uh-huh.
They were in the front bedroom.
Uh-huh. Do you remember what kind of foods you ate? Like what'd you eat for dinner? Like what was a typical dinner?
We mostly ate soup.
You did?
Yeah, mostly we ate soup. And when my mother died, we all loved her soup so much that Virginia stood on the altar and was talking about my mother.
Uh-huh.
And she said, Virginia turned around and walked away a little ways. And she came back and she said, and who will ever forget the way my mother made soup?
Yeah.
She said, no one will ever replace it.
Mhm.
And that's true.
Did you have electrical or did you have did you have electric in your house?
Oh yeah,
You did?
oh yeah.
And then like a stove and stuff. And then what about pets? Did you have any pets?
Oh yes, we always had a dog.
You did?
Always had a dog. And the dog that I can remember is Pudgy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember what kind of dog he was?
it was a mix.
He was.
Yeah.
What did your parents do for a living?
My dad worked for the government WPA, and that was, everyone worked on WPA. The men mostly worked on WPA unless they had educations where my dad did not.
Yeah.
And so that's where he worked. And he said one day the bricklayers made more money. And my dad went up he watched the bricklayers, what they did.
Mhm.
And my dad went up there and he said to the boss, he says, I know how to lay bricks.
Mhm.
So my dad got a job laying bricks and making more money.
That's good.
But we had bags and bags of groceries brought. I don't remember if it was every week or once a month. I can't remember. But anyway, there was a big, I remember this, it was a big grocery bag. A grocery bag colored, but it was heavy.
Yeah.
And there was butter and a lot of vegetables. And we had too much. But because we were children, the government gave us a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So my Aunt Rose and Grandma got nothing because they were adults.
Yeah.
And they could have worked for a living, they said. So my mother fed them, and there was so much in that bag that my mother could have shared with just about anybody.
Yeah.
So that's how my grandma and my Aunt Rosie lived.
Mhm.
That was during Depression.
Yeah.
That was a bad time.
On here it says, stories of the bar and restaurant or the $100 tip from Al Capone.
Okay, my dad, he owned a restaurant on Bridge Street. And Al Capone came in with his friends because all the judges came to my dad's restaurant to eat.
Yeah.
Oh, I should go back. My dad worked in the Patland Hotel as a chef for the workers, not for the public, for the workers.
Yeah.
And my mother scrubbed floors. And that's how my mother and dad met.
Oh.
So that's,
Yeah.
I should have gone that way. But anyway, I'll go back to the judges.
Okay.
The judges, my dad couldn't read or write. And the judges all faked my dad's, everything that they wrote, they said it was true, but that wasn't true.
Yeah.
Because my dad couldn't read or write.
Yeah.
But that's how my dad got citizenship. And my mother had to go and study for her citizenship.
Yeah.
But they both became citizens. And okay, where was I?
And then Al Capone.
Okay, Al Capone came into the restaurant, and he had a cottage up north, and that's where he was going. I think he was from New York, and then he came to Grand Rapids, and then he went to a cottage up north. And after they ate, he left my dad a $100 tip because the food was so good, and all the judges agreed that my dad's food was good. Yeah.
That's sweet. That's pretty cool. Did your parents own a car?
What?
Did your parents own a car?
No.
They didn't?
No.
That's pretty crazy.
What,
I
honey?
said that's pretty crazy. Like, it's crazy that they didn't have a car.
A lot of people didn't
Yeah.
at that time because they couldn't afford them.
Yeah. What was your favorite thing to do as a kid?
As a kid,
Yeah.
we played hide and seek. And we sat on the porch on Gold, and each one of us, there were three of us, my brother, Virginia, and me. And we sat on the porch, and each car that went by, it took a long time before a car went by because no one owned a car. But anyway, that was my brother's car. And then the next car was my car. And then the next car was Virginia's car. And it took a long time in between cars, let me tell you. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite memory as a kid?
Christmas time.
It is.
Oh,
Why? What makes it like your favorite memory?
when we decorated the tree, we all went outside and we're looking at the tree from the outside. And it had lights, and decorations and tinsel. And on the top, my dad always had a red light because he said God or Jesus was coming and he needed a red light to go by. So that's why we had a red light on top of the tree. I want to go back. He reminded me when they were in Europe, they were not allowed to cut a tree down for Christmas. They were not allowed to take any branches from the trees. That was all, belonged to the government.
Mm-hmm.
So my uncle Steve stuck a stick in his shirt. It was on the ground.
Yeah.
And he brought it home and drilled holes where they stuck branches in. And then they had small candles that my grandma made. And they had them on the tree.
A little branch.
Okay, yeah, the real candles. And everyone sat with a small dish with a spoon in with water in case a candle fell over and started a fire, and they put it out with the spoon full of water.
That's cool.
So I think that was nice.
That is nice. Did you have what kind of toys did you play with? Or did you have any toys that you remember?
Mostly dolls.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a least favorite food as a kid?
My favorite food?
No, least favorite.
Least favorite?
Yeah, what'd you not like?
We ate a lot of fish. My dad caught fish in the Grand River and we ate a lot of fish. And I think we got tired of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once in a while we got meat, but not very often. Because my mother made soup with that meat, or bones.
Yeah.
And she scraped off meat from the bones, or the meat from the soup.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly we ate fish.
Did you have to do any chores?
Hmm?
Did you do any chores around the house?
Nope.
You didn't?
Nope.
But why not?
Nope. Nope. No chores.
You didn't?
Nope. My mother did everything.
She did? Was your house super clean and was she a
Oh,
neat
yeah.
freak? Like that, like
The
my
house
dad?
was clean. And she always hung out her clothes
She did.
on the clothesline to dry
Yeah.
because no one had a dryer.
hmm Where'd you go to school?
But
Where did you go to school?
to Lincoln, and that school is still standing.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what street it's on.
Okay, where did you go to school?
Where did I go to work?
To school.
To school?
Yeah.
Lexington to grade school. Union to Union High for high school.
Okay. Why didn't you get your license?
Why didn't I get my license, driver's license?
Yeah.
Because my brother kept telling me that when we'd go on riding and I'd drive with him beside me, like you did.
Yeah.
And every time we'd get home, he says, "You're never going to be a driver. You're never going to be a driver." So I figured I'd never be a driver. He did it to me.
Then you just never wanted it?
Huh?
Then you just never wanted it?
No. He just, every time. And that's why I said to always praise you to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
I always said, she's a good driver. She's a good driver. Okay, so I'm ready for the next question.
Okay. This is a question from like our dad or whatever. He said, "You told me a story of a teacher bringing you in the car for a ride. Where?" Why am I laughing? I don't know why I can't stop laughing. Okay.
Quiet.
Hey, come
What is that?
Okay, it says, "You told me a story of a teacher bringing you in the car for a ride. Where did you go?"
When my uncle took us for a ride,
It says a teacher brought you for a ride.
my teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that wasn't, we were going, the whole class was
Oh,
going
yeah.
someplace. And the buses were full. And so the teacher said to me, "Come on," she said, "I'll take you where we're going, wherever we're going." I don't remember. But anyway, that's why I was in the teacher's car, because the buses were filled. So I went with her. And she had a little gray coupe. A little gray coupe. So we were sitting side by side and there was no place else to sit.
Growing up, who inspired you?
What?
Growing up, who inspired you?
Mostly my mother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would say too. Where did you work? Like, where was your first job? Where was your first job?
Oh man. I think it was, oh boy. I can't remember my first job,
You can't?
but I know that I worked for, oh, what is that? Oh, I know where I worked. I worked at Woolworths, behind the counter. I waited on people for their lunches and
Oh, yeah.
snacks and
Mhm.
whatever. That's where I worked, the first job.
What is, or do you remember the first car that, like, Grandpa bought?
No, I don't remember. I know that they like General Motors cars better than they liked Fords, but that was just a thing with them.
What is the best trip that you and Grandpa went on?
The best trip
Yeah.
that me and Grandma had?
Grandpa.
Who?
Grandpa, like your husband.
Grandpa, oh. After we were married, we went in the UP because he asked me if I wanted to go to Florida or up north. Jerry did. And I wanted to go up north.
Mm-hmm.
And they were filming a movie, I can't remember the name of it, but we saw all the trucks and we didn't see any of the movie stars, but I thought it was kind of exciting to see all those trucks, how many trucks there were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
to
all
make
the-
one
yeah.
movie.
Did you have a cottage before, like, our cottage now?
No,
You didn't? Where did you meet Grandpa at?
At my brother's house, my
Oh.
brother George. Yeah, we had a spaghetti dinner, and that's where I met Dad.
And he was there?
Hmm?
He was there? Like, was he friends with someone?
No, we were invited over to my
Oh.
brother's house for dinner, and that's how I met him.
How long did you date? Like,
Did we date?
yeah.
Oh, jeepers. I think we dated from December until we got married in April. I think it was April.
So not that long?
Hmm?
Like not super long? Like not that long?
No, not that long, no. December to January, February, March, April. Oh, maybe maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we went, because I don't remember there being snow. I think probably, that was wrong. I think probably from September to April. I think that's what it was. I'm not really sure about
Yeah,
that.
that's okay. Your parents, if he could marry you? Like before he proposed to you, did he
No,
ask? He didn't?
no. He asked me to marry him in his old Ford.
Classic. What do you remember most about your wedding day?
My wedding?
Like, what do you remember the most about it?
The church. I think that was beautiful.
Where was it?
St. Mary's Church.
Oh.
And then there were nuns there at that time.
Mhm.
And we were married first, and then there was another couple that were married after us.
Where was it?
And so the nuns said, why don't you go in on the flowers instead of spending,
Oh, yeah.
she said that, and she was right. They would be expensive
Yeah.
for us to get our flowers and for them to get their flowers. So we talked it over, the brides, me and the bride,
Mhm.
and we decided on what flowers we wanted. So
That's kind of
we
cool.
saved some money there.
Yeah. Where did you go on your honeymoon?
Up north,
You did?
up north.
Did you go in the UP or the upper lower part? Do you
Huh?
remember? I said, did you go into the Upper Peninsula or just the?
Yeah, Upper Peninsula.
Okay, like Marquette?
I wish I could remember the name of that movie. It was a good movie.
Okay, so
And
that was
maybe your
best
dad remembers that movie.
He might.
Because he liked it too when it came on TV. He liked it.
I'll ask him.
Grandma had a dog.
It was
so,
Jimmy Stewart
So his
who was the star.
grandma's grandma, so you're my grandma, I don't even know. her
Okay.
name. Grandma's mom
What movie
had
was
dash
Jimmy
hound
Stewart in that
named
was filmed
Fritz.
in the Upper
a
Peninsula?
red one.
She did?
Yep.
Cooper.
Grandma, she doesn't remember that, but I
I'm
remember.
tired.
Do you remember that dog?
What?
That dog Fritz that Grandma had? That was a red dash hound?
A dash hound, yeah.
Okay.
There was,
I got it.
I don't remember him, but
Yeah.
you talked about him.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Fritz.
Fritz, yeah, because he was German.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did
so
you
she
buy-
called him Fritz.
Did you by chance get married in 1959?
Yeah,
I've got the name of the movie right here. Remember, the Google knows everything.
okay.
Anatomy of Murder.
Oh, Anatomy
Jimmy
of a
Stewart.
Murder. That was
Anatomy
a
of
good
a Murder.
movie.
Filmed in the
That
Upper
was a good
Peninsula.
movie.
59.
Yeah, and like I say, if I remember right, and I think I do, your dad liked that movie too.
I'll have to ask him about
I've
it.
seen that. I didn't know it was in the UP.
Nothing.
know.
Making faces.
Where did Grandpa first work?
Where did Grandpa first work?
Yeah.
I think Allen's. It was they made typewriters and
Smith Corona.
things for the stores where the machines that I can't think.
Was it Smith Corona?
Anyway, it was a machine place,
Just like-
but it wasn't a big machine place. It was
Yeah.
like individual for stores, and that's about it.
Yeah. Where was your first house with Grandpa? Like, where'd you first live?
I think we lived with my mother for a while, and then on Gold, those people moved out from upstairs, and Dad and I moved in upstairs on Gold. She maybe got rid of them. I don't know.
So it says you had all the kids at Butterworth, and what did you think of that? Like, did you have all the kids, all like Lissy and Josh and my dad and at Butterworth?
What was the question?
It says, what do you think of that? But then I think you just meant, did you want 3 kids? Or did you want less, or did you want more after the 3?
I don't know.
You don't?
I don't remember.
Did you want 3 kids?
Well, I had 3 children,
Yeah.
but I lost 2,
Oh, you did?
so I would have had 5,
Doesn't matter.
and I would like to have had 5,
Yeah.
but it wasn't to be.
How were the kids as babies? Like, who was the worst and who was the best?
What?
Like the kids as babies, like Josh and Lissy and my dad. Like, was one of them like way better than the other ones as they were like really little? I don't know how to ask that. Like the temperament wise? Like, was one of them like the fussiest?
You mean as a baby?
Yeah, as the 3 kids, yeah.
Josh, because he didn't like milk. He still doesn't like milk. But I had a hard time because he was hungry.
Yeah.
And he couldn't eat because first you just give milk in a
Yeah.
bottle, and that I think that was it.
How did you pick their names?
Well, actually, there was a movie on, and Dad liked the name Joshua,
Yeah.
but I wanted the name Gerald, so we named him Gerald Joshua Subchak. And I wish now that we wouldn't have called him Josh. I wish now that I would have called him Jerry.
Yeah. And then what about Lissy and my dad? Like, how'd you pick their names too?
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
that is my confirmation name.
Oh.
So, and you know what? Hannah is Elizabeth.
Yeah, and Kaylee is too.
Yeah, Hannah is Elizabeth, yeah.
And then what about my dad? What about John?
What?
What about John? How'd you pick that name?
John, I liked the name John, and Dad agreed. And my mother said, you shouldn't name him John because that's bad luck. And that made me mad because that's what I chose, and I didn't believe that. I don't
Yeah.
believe in bad luck,
Yeah.
really.
Why did you move to Ferndale?
Why did I move on Ferndale?
Yeah.
Because the house was for sale, and we liked it.
So just whatever, I guess.
Hey, wait a minute. Ferndale, we moved there because it was actually closer to Dad's work.
Oh.
He didn't have to travel as far
Yeah, that's nice.
to go to work. And that's it.
Why'd you choose Burt Lake to go camping to?
Dad picked Burt Lake because the fishing was good. So that's why we built a cottage there.
That's kind of fun.
And we took a second what do they call that? Anyway, we took like a second mortgage out, but that's not the correct. Well, anyway, that's what we did.
Yeah.
We took a second mortgage out on the house to build the cottage. We really didn't have the money
Yeah.
to do it ourselves, so we had to take out another loan on the house.
Yeah. What is your favorite color?
What?
What's your favorite color? These are CJ's questions.
Green. Green.
Yeah, I like green too. What is your favorite food now?
Everything.
Yeah, me too. What do you miss most about like the old days?
What?
Like, what do you miss most about like growing up?
I suppose growing up
Yeah.
itself. I always, when I used to go for a walk with my aunt, and she had high heels on, and of course we had flats. But I remember saying to her, I could hardly wait to grow up because then I can wear heels like you do, because I like the sound of them on the cement.
Yeah. What have you done in your life that would surprise like all of us? Like, what's something that like not a lot of people know that you've done?
What?
Like, what's something that you have done in your life that would surprise all of us? Like that most people don't know that you've done.
I don't know the answer to that.
You know?
No.
I don't know, it's kind of a random question. Do you have a favorite place that you've traveled to? Like, where's your favorite place that you've ever like gone? Like
Favorite
traveled?
place that what?
That you've traveled to.
I think when Dad passed away, I think we went to with Tina to Boston, and I liked Boston.
Yeah, Boston actually is nice.
Yeah.
CJ, you're gonna have to come up with this question because I don't know how to ask it. What was your favorite subject in school?
Well, I know it wasn't math. I could never get a good mark in math. I think English was.
Yeah. Wait, that one. Yeah, that's mine. I hate math. I'm not good at math. I like writing though.
What do you like?
I like English. That's what I'm
I
good
liked
at.
English.
I'm so bad at math though.
Yeah, I liked English. I always got good marks in English too.
You do that too. Just skip it? Sure. Do you remember anything about World War II?
I can't hear you.
Do you remember anything about World War II?
I remember Virginia and we used to go to a show on Sunday. It cost 10 cents to get in. And Virginia and I were walking home after the movie, and my brother came running up to us and told us that the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. And that's how we knew
Mm-hmm.
that the war started.
Do you remember anything about the Great Depression?
What?
Do you remember anything about the Great Depression?
Yeah, my sister Val told us that Grandpa, the sole of her shoe came off, and so Grandpa put another sole on the shoe, but she had to walk to school and walk everywhere else with a nail cutting into her foot.
Ow, that would hurt.
It's true.
That's kind of painful.
Then I remember them bringing, I think I told you this, burlap bags or whatever. Maybe they were just tall bags, I don't know. But it was like this. And there was a lot of food in there. And because my mother and dad, we had the kids. My grandpa and my grandma and my grandpa was dead, I think. My grandma and Rosie, my aunt, shared. My mother gave them a lot of food because they weren't allowed to get any food, or so that's what she did. There was flour, sugar, eggs. I don't think there were any meats unless they were canned meats. But there was a lot of food in those bags. And I don't remember how long we had to wait for another bag of food. I don't remember that, but we ate halfway decently because of the government. Goodbye for now.